All right, you guys, we are in for a real treat today. I am very excited to have my two boys, Camden and Payton Nunnery, joining me. Camden is the director of our youth programs in general. He is the one who is producing and headlining the children's program this year. Payton is a middle school teacher who is producing and writing our first ever youth program. And we're very excited to tell you about all of those things today. But before we do, guys, tell me just a little bit, or for everyone who's listening in, just kind of give us a little bit of what you're doing now, kind of what fills your time. And then we're going to talk, first of all, about homeschooling in general. And then I want you to tell us more about the upcoming youth program. So Payton, since you're on that side, what are you doing now?
Are we talking just in general?
Sure.
Yeah. Right now, as she mentioned, I'm a middle school teacher. I teach middle school social studies at a local school here in town. And outside of that, the main thing that I've been working on is I've just been working on trying to really bring a deep level of theological importance to the program that I'm making, and also make it accessible to middle school kids, because that's kind of been what I'm aiming at, and I'm trying to bring my own knowledge of the traditional educational model, which, most homeschool students don't really have that much interaction with. I never did, and really take that to see if I can teach some deep theological concepts and some really good stuff to these kids.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you tell us more about that in a second. Cam, you're up.
I'm currently working with you guys.
Yeah.
So I direct our youth programs, as she said, and the publishing aspect, as well as I work a lot with the mission board and recruiting for our preschool in Poland.
So yeah, both of them. Just as a mom, I will say I'm incredibly grateful for the doors that God has opened and the way that He has led you guys. It's been fun to watch you kind of move from homeschooled teenagers into the men that God has created you to be. So I want to spend, before we dive into the youth programs, I think it would be really, really helpful to those who are listening in to learn a little bit more, hear your perspective rather, on kind of your homeschool adventure. So now that you're well out of homeschooling, that's way in your rearview mirror. Was there anything in particular that, as you look back, you can see these were actually advantages that came to me, whether it be in college or now that you're out on your own doing your own thing, something that maybe through homeschooling you see now was actually a benefit. Maybe it was something that you hated at the time, but you see now the beauty of it.
I definitely think learning at your own pace and kind of being self-guided. Working for Teach Them Diligently, I don't know if you guys know this, but we're a pretty small staff. We put on these big events, but there's not a lot of people. So we all end up wearing a lot of different hats and learning a lot of different skills. The ability to teach myself something or to learn something that maybe I haven't been taught or nobody showed me how to do has been a real benefit, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And going along with that, talking not just about now, but going back into the past, I do think talking about that ability to learn and also that ability to move at your own pace is very, very important. It's been very beneficial. I remember so many of my friends were struggling their first year of college because they never really dealt with having to get things done without actually having someone make you get them done. Just talking as a middle school teacher, if my kids don't get enough assignments done, I'm going to text their mom and be like, hey, they have like 9 missing assignments. But you really don't have someone like that in homeschool except for,
Mom.
You would lock me in my room. I remember one time I got locked in my room because I got like an entire 2 months behind on math. And I had to just sit down and get it all done. Outside of that, another big advantage that I see is it's less dependent on other factors. Like, I'm speaking as someone coming from the actual educational system. Your education is 100% based on the skill of the educators who are in charge of you. And I know some amazing educators, and I also know educators who just don't put in as much effort. And a lot of the kids struggle in certain subjects, not because they're not intelligent, but because they don't have any other support outside of the teacher to actually learn those subjects. So being removed from the dependency of having a teacher outside of, your parents, and being able to learn for yourself is a huge benefit of homeschooling.
Yeah. Well, and just to tack on that, well, first of all, to clarify, you were never locked in your room where you could not get out of your room.
Practically.
It may have felt like it, but you were never.
Cinderella situation.
Exactly.
The key from the outside. He was making friends with mice and rats. And
she's lying. All right.
The other side of that, though.
Under my door.
Yeah. So that didn't happen. But the other thing that I do want to seriously jump in on was, in a lot of research I've done, there is so much data out there that shows that the number one indicator of a child's success academically is the engagements of the parents, no matter what mode of education they're in. So that in and of itself is a huge leg up, because homeschoolers inherently have a lot of engagement with the parents. Now, I'm sure a lot of traditional, quote, traditionally schooled kids do as well. But as homeschooling parents, what we're able to give our kids is that very specific, very engaging learning process that really does serve them very, very well.
Schooling.
You might call it heart schooling. Nice plug, Cam. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a book out.
That's right.
If you didn't know.
Now, when you were transitioning from homeschool to college and then beyond, were there any specific to homeschool to entering college? What were the biggest challenges that you faced in making that transition, and how do you think we could have approached things differently to prepare you better, remembering that the people who are listening in are probably thinking, I still can fix this. So what were some of the challenges that you had making that transition?
I think the only one that comes to mind is it's not at your own pace anymore.
That's true.
That's what immediately comes to mind is suddenly I can't do all of my math in one day.
Yeah.
Or, if you get behind, you're really behind the eight ball because there's not as much leeway there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I would say the biggest challenge was the level of work. This didn't really come into play my freshman year, because when I went into my freshman year, I found it about as easy as my classes that I took in high school. But going into the other years, that level of work grows rapidly. And the hardest thing was, as my brother said, just making sure that you can actually keep up with it all. Because once you get behind on those things, because of the level of work, it's really hard to catch up.
Yeah. So you're saying your professor didn't lock you in your room and slide food under the door?
No, that was you.
That was... well, yeah, both of those things make a lot of sense. The other thing that I thought of, just to kind of toss in there from a mom's perspective, is now once you graduate and you go off to college, you are entirely accountable to man up and direct your own ship, really. So I didn't have access to how you were doing or whether you were doing anything. And so for a mom who had full control and full access for all of those years, that was really something that I struggled with. And I feel like in some ways I could have encouraged more to make sure that, you didn't get behind. But really navigating that, how much freedom do I give? How much do I encourage when I have no power, no control anymore was quite a curveball for me, honestly.
And I will tell you, the moment that I kind of realized how much a different college is the moment that I actually realized that without student permission, parents, even if they're paying for the whole education, can't actually do college grades.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's technically, they're an adult. So like you as the adult student have to physically give the parent permission to be able to look at transcripts.
Right. So there really is this massive difference. And that is something that you with your student will want to navigate, because they still need you to encourage and challenge them to stay on track, but you got no teeth anymore. Honestly, you just don't. So that was something that from a mom's perspective, I thought was kind of challenging. It was new. It was kind of difficult to navigate. I want to transition on to teach them diligently a little bit, because there's a lot of families who are listening into this who are involved in ministry of some sort. There's a lot of fear when you are in ministry that the ministry will take precedent. Your kids will feel threatened by that, and so on. And I did not actually, you're going to get raw answers, because I try not to give them any insight as to what's coming their way. But what I want to know is, as you look back at your involvement with Teach Them Diligently, ours as a family, how do you feel like that shaped you? Good, bad, whatever. Just when I ask that question, what is kind of your knee-jerk response to how that ministry that God gave us impacted your life as you were growing up in it?
Well, I guess I'll start on that question. I would say that my people skills improved because I was constantly walking around talking to exhibitors. I enjoy talking to exhibitors. I made a lot of friends talking to exhibitors. So that was always fun because I got a lot of interactions with adults, even from a young age. On top of that, I would say that both of us would admit that we have become excellent improvisers from working at the events.
Flexibility was key.
Flexibility is definitely key. Quick on your feet is definitely key. So yeah.
They call me the tap dancer.
That's cute.
But no, I would say that the main thing that your question was, how did the event shape us?
Right. Yeah.
I definitely think people skills, talking to adults, being comfortable in our own skin, whether that's in a crowd or in front of a crowd, or talking to some random stranger we've never met that we, act like we're best friends. Also, there was it felt very rewarding to work, just to actually get things done for Teach Them Diligently. So I think work ethic wise, the thinking back of just the feeling of completing tasks was always really encouraging.
Yeah. Well, and we're really, really grateful that God allowed us to do it together. I think back to the infamous alphabet year, our second year of doing events. The labels printed in alphabetical order by first name, and so we ended up reshuffling 1,500 packet envelopes, and so they had a great alphabetical, alphabetizing exercise there for about several days as we got to do that. But it really was a joy to get to do that together. It was amazing to me, the doors that God opened for you guys to engage with people. We used to call Payton the PR director of the exhibit hall. Camden can sell anything to anyone. He's just incredibly good in the booth. He also has stepped in multiple times through the years to salvage children's programs and run them in just record time. Amazing way that he has, or gift that he has to step in on that. So before we move from this particular topic, I would love to know what you all took away as far as what the ministry really is. So what kind of an impact have you seen through the years as in the families that you've engaged with at Teach Them Diligently, or the exhibitors, or whatever, where you have seen the impact of Teach Them Diligently on them?
I definitely think that you hear the words homeschool convention and you think of a convention for schooling or for getting your curriculum or learn how to teach math better. But the main impact of Teach Them Diligently is definitely the relationship with the parents, being able to encourage, build up, mentor the parents has definitely been the main ministry of Teach Them Diligently.
I would agree with that. I feel like the fact that we bring in so many people who can speak to topics that honestly aren't spoken to too much just has really had quite a big impact on people. And we have plenty of people who talk about that. On top of that, when it comes to the exhibitors, just the fact that there are so many people who are like have pretty much grown up with Teach Them Diligently, especially like even companies that we can point to and be like they basically came to Teach Them Diligently, and that's how their company started. But again, I think the biggest impact has been just that the parenting help and the help in actually guiding your kids into truth.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. And then again, you noted it. Both of the boys noted it in different ways. The focus is absolutely on family. It's on strengthening families, equipping parents to parent biblically, to homeschool with excellence. But we also focus a lot on marriage and discipleship and just a lot of those things, in addition to all of the academic stuff that you would expect. So you're going to get all of that. And it has been really cool to see how, if you look back through pictures through the years, you see all of these little kids with my little kids who are now doing stuff on their own as well, which is really, really neat. And I'm very, very, very grateful for that. Let's talk, though, about our youth programs and the things that are offered to families this year. Camden, I want you to address this since this is really under your jurisdiction. We have a philosophy of children's programs that is not just about babysitting. So can you kind of speak to that a little bit? Why do we offer children's programs at all? Yeah. So because they're not easy. No. Those are children's programs are really, really hard to pull off in a convention center setting. So that is always, every year, that is the hardest thing for us to navigate. So why do we do that? From your perspective as the one who's now managing all of that. And then, kind of follow that up with telling a little bit about why we've split the programs this year.
Yeah. So when it comes to why do we have a children's program, why do we go through all of this effort? We really want to free up the parents to be able to fully immerse themselves in the event. When it comes to why is it not just babysitting, why do we take the time to have Bible lessons when they're hard to keep kids' attention during?
Yeah.
Why do we try to have them memorize Bible verses? We really want to, just like with the main event, reach the hearts of the kids. Just like the main event's going for the hearts of the parents and trying to guide them. In our children's and youth programs, we want to reach the hearts of the children and make sure that they leave with hearing the gospel as well as knowing something more about the Bible. So that's going to be kind of our philosophy.
So tell me a little bit about, well, first of all, we have split the children's program from what we're calling the youth program this year. So the lines of the age groups and stuff for each of those programs has been shifted from one big children's program. Can you talk a little bit about that before we start talking about the specifics of each program?
When it comes to the ages in the children's program, we would have games and lessons built for the younger age to keep their attention, and a lot of times the older kids would get a little bit bored because a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old is not going to be interested in the same thing as a 4-year-old.
Right.
So splitting them off and Payton taking over the youth program it was just a natural fit.
Right. And it will allow us to really curate lessons and activities and such very specifically for a younger group of kids, and that middle school to young teenager group that so often falls between the cracks because they're really too old for a traditional children's program, but a traditional teen program is a little bit beyond them. So that's how we kind of landed on offering these two programs. So Camden, will you tell us what is the theme, what we're going to be talking about, what can the kids expect, and what are the age groups for that children's program?
So we've partnered this year with Light of the World for our children's program. So it's a movie coming out about the life of Christ through the eyes of John. And that's a really cool movie. I've already seen the early production stages of it. They're going to provide us with some awesome animations for their children's programs, some great games. We'll still have some of your traditional favorites, the TTD originals, but they provided us with some great games, an awesome program, some great activities for during the lessons to really demonstrate what the scripture is saying. So I'm very excited about that partnership and bringing that to you guys. Beyond that, we're still going to be doing our over-under and our your favorite games, but we do have something extra this year.
It's going to be really cool. And again, because the ages are more narrow that we're focusing on, first of all, there's more space, so we can serve more kids that way. But also, it will be tailor-made for the group of kids who's in there, instead of us trying to figure out how to split between the older and the younger kids. So I think that'll be really, really helpful. Payton, can you tell us about that youth program and what ages it's for primarily, and what you're thinking, what you're working on for them?
Yeah. So the age group, we're looking at really that middle school age, going from, I'm pretty sure the cutoff is, 12? I'm pretty sure it's right there about...
you start with about 10, 11-year-olds.
Oh, 10, 11, sorry.
Yeah.
So we're going from that 5th grade age group to about that 8th grade age group.
Yeah.
And really my goal is to kind of have a transitional program. Like, they are... those age groups have generally been included in the children's program, but there's a lot more that you can do with them, and a lot more you can trust them with, because they are in that older age group. And I'm not trying to have this be a children's program. So I'm really looking at emphasizing that kind of being able to hang out and have a little bit of freedom to be able to do things with their friends,
right?
Being able to make friends. But I'm also really looking to push on the biblical side of things as well. The theme that we're going with is a theme on identity as we look through the book of Ephesians. And I'm very, very excited about that. I've been doing a lot of study on that. And I'm really looking to have that be a theme, because I want these kids to be able to walk away knowing who they are because of what Christ has done for them. And on top of that, I'm also looking at trying to make this a little bit of a... obviously a fun experience. We have games planned. We're looking at new ways to do some free time where they have the ability to actually choose from a plethora of things they can do, because I want to actually include the ability for them to make choices for themselves, to have an active role in it. But also, we're looking at doing some educational programs as well. I know that in the children's program, it's always been a big hit when we have people like Ranger Mike come in and things like that to do animal
We love
sessions.
Ranger Mike.
I'm looking to do something that really inspires them to enjoy learning. So that's kind of what we're going for on that. We have some great people who are partnering with to try and bring that to them. But the main goal of it, the main thing that I want them to walk away with, is I just want them to be sure in this transitional period, as they're going from children to young adults, that they know exactly who they are because of Christ, and also what their identity in Christ means for their future in their life.
Yeah. And I'm so excited about both of those programs. It'll also allow both of those programs to be a lot more relational than they have been, a lot less chaotic, again, because we are really focusing in. But especially with the older ones, I know that building those relationships is one of the things that's so sweet about Teach Them Diligently, because these kids come back year after year so excited to see their friends from the previous year. In 365, we've got so many kids who are pen pals now because of it. And it's just really, really, really cool. We're running out of time, but I want to ask you guys one more question. Why do you think that parents really should allow their kids to come to these programs? What do you really hope that these kids gain by joining you on site?
Well, first off, they're going to have a lot of fun. And that cannot be understated, because having them sit with you during the sessions, they're going to get bored. They're great sessions for parents, but not exactly built for children. We will have sessions built for the children to really impact them, but also to make sure that they have a good time during the event, so that they can love Teach Them Diligently just as much as you guys do.
And I would say, going along with that, it's really important to us to have things that are built for where they're at.
Yeah.
One of the main goals of splitting was, again, that issue where you can't have, a 4-year-old with a 12-year-old and expect them to get the same thing. You got to be able to teach to where they're at.
Right.
So this allows you as parents to go off and go do your sessions and to really learn from the amazing and well-qualified speakers that we have, but also for these young adults and these kids to get something out of it that is exactly where they are at. Again, our goal is not to be a babysitting place. We're not a parking lot where you send your kids and then you go off. We're really trying to help Teach Them Diligently grow the whole family.
Yeah. Well, guys, I am so grateful that you've joined me today. Thank you for taking the time and getting over those first 4 takes where the giggles just took over in the introduction. Brothers still be brothers.
It was him.
Brothers still act like brothers. For the rest of you guys, I hope this has been exciting as you've heard about the things that are coming up. I hope that their insight, even on their homeschool experiences, their experiences in ministry and that sort of thing, have been encouraging to you. If you have not yet registered for Teach Them Diligently, I encourage you, go ahead and get your ticket now. We will be in Dayton, Ohio. We'll be in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, Branson, Missouri, and Lynchburg, Virginia this year, and we would love to see you there. If you go to teachthemdiligently.net/events, you can find all of those listed. If you click on one of those, it will give you all of the details about that specific event, including the details about the youth programs, so that you can sign your child up for what is absolutely best for them. So again, go to teachthemdiligently.net/events to learn more. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. I hope that we get to see you in March in Ohio, May in Pigeon Forge or Branson, or the end of July, 1st of August in Lynchburg at Liberty University. We would absolutely love to see you there. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you again real soon.